China's power core is collapsing. The PLA's rocket force has been gutted. 74 experts erased, 116 suppliers blacklisted, generals gone. Was it Xi's counterattack? Or is his own legacy being completely erased? And just as Beijing reels, a historic leak exposes over 500 gigabytes of China's Great Firewall, ripping open the secrets of its surveillance empire. 2 shocks, 1 message. The Purge is here, and the age of turmoil has begun. Watch now only on China Unfiltered. The Great Purge, sweeping away Xi's remnants? The People's Liberation Army rocket force, long hailed as Beijing's nuclear sword, has been rocked by an earthquake of its own making. In an unprecedented move, the force issued 180 consecutive announcements, blacklisting 74 bid evaluation experts and 116 major suppliers, including state-owned giants. This was no mere administrative shakeup. It was the opening salvo of a purge designed to tear out the very arteries that sustained an entire ecosystem of power. Immediately, speculation spread. This must be Xi Jinping's counterattack. After years under pressure, Xi was said to be preparing to strike at Zhang Youxia, vice chairman of the Central Military Commission and the last military elder of real influence. According to this logic, 2016 was the perfect year. Zhang oversaw the Equipment Development Department, riddled with corruption and bid-rigging scandals. A single retroactive probe could wipe the slate clean and reassert Xi's authority. It sounds plausible, but according to commentator Zhang Feng, on closer inspection, the logic collapses. If Xi were behind the probe, why would the timeline of 2016 ensnare his own closest confidant, Wang Jiasheng, the former political commissar of the rocket force? In the PLA, it is not the commander but the political commissar who holds the keys: personnel, budgets, procurement approvals. Wang Jiasheng sat in that chair for over 5 years, building a patronage network whose loyalty to Xi was unquestioned. If Xi were holding the knife, he would be cutting into his own backbone of loyalty. That makes no sense. A more reasonable explanation. This is a purge launched by a new master, targeting Xi's legacy itself, turning the 9-year retrospective into an indictment of Xi's entire military era. The Purge storm of 2023. The Purge began in earnest in 2023. Within a year, the rocket force saw its leadership erased almost in entirety. 3 commanders, Wei Fenghe, Zhou Yanning, Li Yuchao. 2 deputy commanders, Zhang Zhenzhong and Li Chuangguang, Chief of Staff Sun Jinming, Equipment Head Lu Hong. Even Commander Wang Hubin and CMC Vice Chair He Weidong were rumored missing. No branch in PLA history has ever been gutted so completely. This was no random sweep. It was a campaign executed with the precision of a military operation. Why, then, the need for a 9-year retrospective after so many generals had already fallen? Because the purge had not yet reached the poisoner himself. Those men were merely victims of the toxin. The one who brewed it, Wang Jiasheng, had yet to be dragged into the light. He was the architect of the supplier networks, the one who implanted Xi's political DNA deep into the rocket force. The choice of 2016 as the starting point was no accident. It was the year Wang wielded full authority. The scalpel had finally found the root. Wang Jiasheng and the Xichang system. To understand Wang's power, one must look at the Xichang system. The Xichang Satellite Launch Center was the PLA's gold mine. There, Wang Jiasheng served as political commissar, while Li Shangfu, later defense minister, served as commander. One controlled the personnel, the other technology and procurement. Together they created a model of seamless interest transfer, later scaled across China's entire strategic weapons program. Li's successor at Xichang, Zhang Zhenzhong, later rose to Rocket Force Deputy Commander. This inner circle fed Xi's rise. By 2023, both Li Shangfu and Zhang Zhenzhong had been purged. Now the knife turns toward their patron, Wang Jiasheng, the godfather of the Xichang system. A political strike on China's most powerful families. Adding fuel to the drama, the purge of suppliers carried yet another revelation. According to commentator Li Daiyu, of the 116 companies punished, most were cited for bid rigging or falsifying documents. Among them, the Beijing Engineering Bureau of China Communications Construction Company, CCCC. This state-owned giant has long been suspected of falling within the orbit of Jiang Zemin's family empire, overseen by his eldest son, Jiang Mianheng. The Jiang clan's grip reached deep into telecommunications, semiconductors, and infrastructure, sectors they treated as private cash reservoirs. For CCCC, Beijing, being exposed meant more than just losing rocket force contracts. It was barred from all PLA procurement. Insiders note that military procurement, from medicine and daily consumables to equipment, has always been a closed ecosystem. Without connections, outsiders don't stand a chance. One whistleblower put it bluntly. Everyone in the pharmaceutical world knows this unwritten rule. Another veteran businessman admitted he had never witnessed a truly open tender. Every outcome was predetermined, powerless firms included, only for show. From this perspective, the CCP's probe looks less like a crusade against corruption than a selective weapon against political rivals. The goal isn't to end collusion, it's to harness it. And who pocketed the lion's share of procurement profits? The party's most powerful clans. A purge of this scale is nothing less than a direct strike on those entrenched families. The choice of a 9-year window is telling. It aligns perfectly with the period following Xi Jinping's military reforms, when he was cementing control. The timeline itself gives away the strategy. The purge unfolded in deliberate phases. First, power was seized. Loyalists removed, command handed to Wang Lian, a figure with roots in the orthodox Deng Hu lineage. Second, the lifeline was cut, supplier networks dismantled, 74 experts and 116 firms blacklisted, suffocating Xi's economic base. Finally came the declaration, the phrase 9-year retrospective amplified as a public message. The house has a new master, and old scores are being settled. If you're still watching, comment 1 so I know you're still with me. Why Wang Lian? Commentator Zhang Feng argues that Wang embodies continuity from an earlier era. He once served under Zhang Haiyang, son of Zhang Zhen, the CMC vice chair. Deng Xiaoping placed beside Hu Jintao to ensure a smooth succession. Wang's career later took him to Zhanjiang, where he worked under Liu Xiaohua, Hu Chunhua's closest ally. At the very moment Xi was dismantling the Youth League faction, Wang was embedded in its territory, a living reminder of the sidelined succession line. His later re-emergence as Rocket Force commander was no coincidence. His appointment sent a clear signal. The orthodox line was back to reclaim ground Xi once captured. Meanwhile, the civilian sphere showed tremors just as telling. First, veteran technocrats within the State Council suddenly resurfaced. On September 11th, Wang Wenjun was appointed deputy director of the National Healthcare Security Administration, while Wang Jigang took over as deputy director of the Religious Affairs Bureau. Both are long-serving technocrats with strong Youth League ties. Second, according to Sina Finance, on September 10th, China's 41st Teachers' Day, Jiangsu Party Secretary Xin Changxing made a highly symbolic trip to Taizhou, Hu Jintao's hometown and alma mater. This wasn't just a holiday gesture. Investigative journalist Jiang Weiping, now based in Canada, described it as an open attempt to curry favor with Hu. The logic is hard to dispute. The CCP thrives on opportunism and flattery. Cadres instinctively align with whoever they believe still holds power. If Hu Jintao were truly finished, why would a provincial party secretary of Xin's stature take such a gamble? Why risk being seen as disloyal to Xi, when Xi's animosity toward Hu is no secret? That's why Jiang Weiping's interpretation carries real weight. Third, trusted aides of Li Keqiang, Hu Jintao, and Hu Chunhua began quietly reappearing in key positions. For example, Jiang Weiping revealed that Li Keqiang's longtime aide, Xiao Jie, now a vice chairman of the National People's Congress, suddenly surfaced in Inner Mongolia to preside over an important meeting. Inner Mongolia is Hu Chunhua's political home turf. Sending Xiao Jie there was nothing less than a declaration to the entire party. The Youth League faction is back. Taken together, these moves form a larger picture. A sweeping transfer of power, with the rocket force at its core. Seen in full, the 9-year retrospective is not the dying counterstroke of a fading emperor. It is the verdict on Xi Jinping's military era. The fourth plenum in October will not be a battlefield. That battle has already been fought and settled in silence. The plenum will merely stage the ceremony, reading aloud a judgment long since written. Xi Jinping's military-political legacy is being swept away in its entirety. And at this moment, another shockwave has struck Beijing. A historic leak has exposed the core files of China's Great Firewall. Historic leak. Over 500 gigabytes of China's Great Firewall exposed. A stunning and unprecedented breach has shaken Beijing. More than 500 gigabytes of source code, internal logs, and confidential communications from China's Great Firewall have been leaked. According to the Great Firewall report, this is the biggest leak in the system's history. The documents reveal, in remarkable detail, how Beijing designed, operated, and even exported its censorship technology to other countries. Experts say the impact on the regime is simply incalculable. Among the revelations, exporting censorship abroad, China sold or deployed surveillance and VPN blocking technology to at least 5 countries: Myanmar, Pakistan, Ethiopia, Kazakhstan, and one nation still unidentified. The flagship weapon, Tiangyu TSG, a powerful firewall device capable of monitoring all internet traffic, blocking circumvention tools, conducting deep packet inspection, slowing down connections, launching cyber attacks, and even injecting malicious code. This tool was critical in Myanmar's crackdown on VPN use. Domestic deployment. The system is not limited to Xinjiang. It has been rolled out across provinces like Jiangsu and Fujian, creating a nationwide, decentralized censorship network. Belt and Road expansion. Job postings tied to the Belt and Road Initiative openly recruited people fluent in English and other languages, willing to take assignments in Pakistan, Malaysia, Bahrain, Algeria, and India to help spread China's censorship model abroad. The team behind it. The leaked files came from Jiji Hainan Information Technology Company Limited and the Institute of Information Engineering under the Chinese Academy of Sciences. At the center of it all is Fang Bingxing, widely known as the father of the Great Firewall. Fang has long been celebrated inside China's system, holding titles such as professor at the National Defense University, doctoral supervisor, academician of the Chinese Academy of Engineering, and later president of Beijing University of Posts and Telecommunications. But outside the system, he is sharply criticized as the man who turned hundreds of millions of Chinese internet users into prisoners. Observers believe, or at least hope, that this leak came from insiders acting on conscience, echoing the story of Ruan Xiaohuan, better known online as Program Think. Ruan was once part of the internet control machine himself, but after realizing the truth, he switched sides, running a blog that for years became a lifeline, teaching tens of thousands of Chinese netizens how to use VPNs and bypass the firewall. In 2021, Ruan was arrested. 2 years later, Chinese court sentenced him to 7 years in prison on charges of inciting subversion of state power, along with 2 additional years of deprivation of political rights. His appeal was rejected in 2024, and his fate sparked international concern that he had paid the ultimate price for exposing the truth. But the firewall leak doesn't just reveal how the system works, it exposes the true face of control. As author Jintao Pian of Vision Times writes, the terror is no longer just that Chinese must climb over the wall to glimpse the truth. The deeper horror lies in the CCP's sophisticated program of individual surveillance, a campaign he calls nothing less than the rape of consciousness, the killing of thought, and the assault on action. Inside China today, every citizen risks being tagged through foreign social media and entered into a high-risk user database. In plain terms, watching overseas news, even out of curiosity, can land someone in prison overnight. The irony is brutal. The regime has no funds for universal health care, no money for pensions, yet it pours enormous resources into geofencing technology, mapping populations with pinpoint accuracy, detecting gatherings, and predicting protests before they even start. The leaked documents make one truth clear. The CCP survives not because of strength, but because of fear and control. Yet when a nation knows it lives in a cage, when resentment piles high like dry tinder, a single spark can ignite a nationwide uprising. That day will come. And now, with the Generation Z protests in Nepal and the largest firewall leak in history, the fuse for a mass awakening in China may already have been lit. As British prophet Craig Hamilton Parker once warned, a pall of smoke hovers over the map of China. The age of turmoil has officially arrived. I should have ended today's discussion here, but the wave of events in recent days suggests something larger, that the instability we see is no longer confined within China's borders. It is spreading across the world. 2025 already feels more turbulent than the year before. In the United States, bitter divides remain unresolved. Its alliances with Western partners are still strained, while relations with China and Russia swing between hostility and uneasy cooperation. The assassination of a young conservative commentator, Charlie Kirk, during a public speech has only deepened the toxic rift between America's right and left. Europe is restless too. France is paralyzed by ideological warfare. Britain and the European Union are consumed by battles over immigration, public security, and national safety, each conflict sharpening social divisions. And then there is China. The nation stands at the crossroads of multiple crises: widening inequality between rich and poor, escalating tension between officials and citizens, and intensifying rivalry with the United States. The government is losing its ability to manage these conflicts. Yet Xi Jinping still dreams of leading the so-called Global South. Meanwhile, anti-communist voices and public protests are spreading, louder and larger, making it clear that China is standing on the eve of upheaval. Global turmoil breeds fear of the future. Corruption and injustice fuel public anger and a determination to change fate. The victories of others inspire people to rise. That is why the uprisings in a small Asian Nepal nation matter. They reveal how suppressed emotions, once ignited, spread like wildfire. True social transformation requires three things: deep-rooted causes, time for pressure to build, and the spark to set it off. Nepal met every condition. History runs in cycles. Long unity leads to division. Long stillness leads to upheaval. The world has been united too long, quiet too long. Now it has reached the breaking point, an age of fracture, of turbulence, of movement. As commentator Yan Chungo writes in the Vision Times, when politics fails, force takes its place. The highest form of politics is war. This means the Russia-Ukraine conflict could escalate. Civil wars may erupt elsewhere. Even a world war is no longer unthinkable. These are not matters of human choice, but of destiny. What is meant to come will come. When it arrives, humanity can only endure. Whether it brings blessing or catastrophe, only heaven knows. What do you think about today's topic? Share your thoughts in the comments. We'd love to hear your perspective. If you found this analysis valuable, please like, share, and subscribe to stay updated. Thanks for watching, and see you next time.